Hi there, this is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, WomenOnTV.tv, Worldwide TV Network, and iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. And today, today's a special show. Not only do we have nonstop action, we haven't done a show in a while, she's been busy. However, I've been waiting for this interview, the one and the only Kim Richards. Now, you may know his name, you may not know his name, but you always recognize what he's doing, whether it's in the music side of things or the theatrical side of things. Kim Richards, welcome to Movie Reviews and More. Tell the audience, for the people who might not have ever seen you before, how important you are to, like me, or those people who love going to the movies that can't go to the movies, what you do.
Well, I don't know how important I am to you, but I am the CEO of Allied Artists, the motion picture and music company. We own Allied Artists Film Group and Allied Artists Music Group.
Talk about what's been happening with stuff pre-COVID-19 to where you are right now to what you're figuring out, because it'll be very interesting to what things and what people can be seeing, because the movie theaters as of really today and Friday are just kind of starting to come back slowly but surely.
Well, first of all, the year 2020 is our 100-year anniversary for Allied. In 1920, the first motion picture came out on the Allied Artists Films. Or at that time, it was actually called Allied Artists Pictures. And so we celebrated our 100-year anniversary with COVID-19.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly.
Great way to.
We were planning to have a big theatrical extravaganza where we would play films like Cabaret and The Wild Geese, and then some of our newer pictures. And we would have a full day of, the Allied Artist Day at one of the theaters. But of course, no theaters are open. Some of them are starting to come back online now. And but here in Los Angeles, for instance, none of the theaters are open yet.
Yeah, that's true. I'm missing being able to go to the movies. I know, Brian, so you were able to go to the movies in Vegas now? They're opened up?
I haven't checked Regal. I'm going to scoot up there on a Segway to check to see if they are open. I have a feeling they're open, but my thing, Kim, is I'm not sure I'm ready to go to the movies because I know most of the stuff has been delayed, but I still want to support something. I'm just not sure yet. What's your advice on people who would want to go to the movies, but none of the big movies are coming yet, except for maybe Tenet, but everything's been pushed to next year, but you still want to support something at least? Well,
as a movie distributor and as a production company that we are, you would expect that I would say, oh, go to the movie theaters and enjoy yourself and so on. And I don't actually say that, because your health is more important than anything else. And let's face it, COVID-19 is out there. And seeing a great movie is not worth risking your life. It's just that simple. So fire up Netflix, fire up Hulu, and enjoy those avenues until it's safe. Don't risk your life for a motion picture.
Don't you think that the drive-in movie theater is going to come back? I can see that coming back.
They're already back. That's one area where films are being shown in drive-ins. It's kind of funny because we all thought the drive-in theater was mostly dead. And nowadays, the drive-in theaters are actually, they have quite a resurgence. And on our music side, we're actually planning events at drive-in theaters for live concerts. Let people sit in their cars or sit on top of the hoods, but spatially distanced from each other. And so that's one way to get around the COVID problem.
It's kind of interesting. We're going back to the old days with the movies, but I mean, I don't know. I think the drive-in movies are fun. So, I mean, I would look forward to doing that. For me, I think it's more fun than actually being in a theater, but I guess that's just me personally. But I don't know of any that are open yet here in LA. I'm in LA in Redondo Beach, but that's something I would love to go to if I can find one that's open.
Well, I understand that AMC and Regal are opening up on, I think, the 31st or something, maybe in the next day or two. But quite frankly, I don't expect many people to go to the theaters because they are going to, now in fairness to the theaters, They're working on their air filtration,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're gonna improve the air filtration. They're spatially distancing or socially distancing people inside the theaters, so that if you buy 3 tickets, you'll have several seats between you and the next group, which is going to cost them quite a bit. But at the same time, they are starting to show films again. So they are doing their part to try to bring the film industry back into theatrical. But nonetheless, if you're not completely comfortable, don't risk your life. That's all I can say. Hello there. We have a 4th person.
Hi, Victoria. Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
Who there? Hey,
Hi.
Richards.
Yes.
Hi,
Victoria.
Well,
Missed
Kim,
you.
Victoria,
Welcome
we were
to
just
the
talking
party.
about, Kim was just talking about not risking your life going back to the theaters for stuff like that. And I totally agree, because Kim, gosh, 79 people, all 79 people said they wouldn't. And a lot of us are some of us are critics, but just friends, a lot of musicians, because it's hard once you've gotten that aspect of being at home, or even like Victoria recording, getting back at the studio on the music side of things. It is challenging. At the same time, we want to help everybody one way or another. I love Lemley Theaters. Bob and Greg Lemley, they're my dear.
Yep.
I want to preserve the oldest movie chain in the United States, but I'm not sure what to do yet. But I desperately want to help.
Yep. Well,
Well,
yeah,
it's
Victoria, we're
tough.
talking about bringing back people going to drive-throughs, the drive-in
The
movie
drive-ins,
theaters.
yeah. Drive-ins
yeah.
they
What?
have a
Yeah.
resurgence right now, and it is kind of fun.
I've never even gone. It's honestly been on my bucket list like my whole life. I don't know why. I just
You've
haven't
never
done
been
it.
to a drive-in theater?
Never. No, I know. I feel like I failed at life, honestly. Got a lot of boxes to check.
Well, when
Done it.
I was a kid, they would put 2 people in the front, and 3 people would sneak into the trunk, and they'd pay for 2 people, and they'd get out in the middle of the theater and watch the show.
Nice. Nice. Like they made good trunks back in the day too. Like there was like Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, now you couldn't get 3 people in a trunk.
I know.
No.
Like thinking about my ash bag.
And not even the mob can do it.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. That's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah,
They should
yeah.
bring that back.
Great
One of the
minds think
things-
alike.
Kim, one of the things I was thinking about, like Victoria, my favorite memory of me was my dad taking me to the drive-in theater to see Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee film, and I became a martial arts because of that. But it was always fun seeing little kids play in their play area. Now they really can't do that, unfortunately, but at least you can go to the drive-in if providing you can find one someplace. Talk about
Mhm.
Well, I actually knew Bruce Lee. He was a friend through Ed Parker from
Oh,
Kempo
yes.
Karate. Yeah, and so, but Bruce was a really nice guy, and I knew him from he was here in Los Angeles when he was doing the Green Hornet, the TV show, and so that I'm definitely aging myself now, because you guys were most of you weren't born, and apparently you saw some of his later movies, so you must have been a little kid.
Hey, they never go out of style.
Nope.
No, they don't. And Bruce was terrific. He had a wonderful sense of humor, and he was obviously very talented in martial arts, but at the same time, he did have an incredible sense of humor that came across on camera.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, has there even been another person like him, really? Like, is there another, like a predecessor to Bruce Lee?
Jackie
Not
Lee.
really.
Or
Jackie Lee?
Jackie Chan, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I tried
tried
to create a brand new character. It was a mixture of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan for Jackie Lee. Now, Jackie, yeah,
Now you're really confusing me.
that's right. Jackie Chan was basically the new Bruce Lee in a sense. Same sense of humor, just as talented. In fact, the difference between the two was Jackie Chan's sense of humor. He actually was a lot funnier in many instances.
Nice.
True.
It's funny. I just don't imagine him being funny for some reason. Like
Jackie
he
Chan?
seems so
Oh,
serious.
Jackie's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jackie's hilarious.
Oh.
In person as well. He's really we're trying to put together a movie with him right now about a young about a 7-year-old Chinese boy who is in a part of China. There's a very small area in China where they have surfing, and it's mostly surfing contests. And
Wow.
very few Chinese people participate in the surfing. But this little 7-year-old kid is walking early one morning, and he looks over and he sees a blonde-haired surfer coming in hanging 10. And there's something about the sun is shining behind him, and he looks kind of like a god to him. And the kid just says,
Aw.
"I want to be a surfer." And all his Chinese friends make fun of him, say, "You can't be a surfer, come on." And the movie is it's a fish out of water story about this kid who says, "No, I'm going to be a surfer, and I don't care whether I'm Chinese or what. I can be a surfer if I want to be a surfer."
Awesome.
Yeah,
So it's a really good message movie.
that's good. I love stories like that, like overcoming the odds, and everyone said you couldn't, but then you just do anyway. I feel like that's like my life motto.
That's my motto. Every time somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna watch me do it.
Yeah, right? Girls
Brian
can't
knows
lift
that.
that heavy of weights. Oh yeah, bet.
Well, our plan is to get Jackie to play the father. And the father is dead set that his son's going to be in martial arts. And the kid wants to have absolutely nothing to do with martial arts. And I'm not going to tell you how, but they come together through martial arts and surfing in the so it's a really a nice
Martial arts and surfing.
Yep.
Interesting.
They
Probably have
can
like a
come
really
together.
good center of gravity from martial arts and translates into surfing. I don't know.
Well, you'll have to catch the movie when it comes out.
Won't I? Guess I will.
Yep.
Hey, Kim, what do you see?
I love it.
What do you see on the music side of things when it comes to scoring, when it comes to not necessarily theaters, but the live performing? You were talking a little bit about drive-in theaters. I can see, because we've been talking to a lot of musicians lately. So I kind of say, do that, play out in the pasture, play for 10, have people PayPal you or Venmo or whatever the case,
Well, I'm a little bit biased in this area because I'm a music producer by trade. I started out as an engineer when I was 13 years old, and moved into music production later on in my late 20s. And I worked for CBS Records at one time for RSO. I started out with at the Greek Theater as a 13-year-old kid. Mixing sound for groups that didn't have a sound mixer or sound engineer.
Wow.
And then went from there.
Which is most people.
No, well, the headlining acts usually came in with their own engineer, but their engineer wasn't going to mix for the opening act. So I was the kid. I was the kid, and I got the ability to mix for them.
That's cool. So you did live mixing.
I love live.
Yeah.
I even live recording, like when I did The Wall with Pink Floyd. We did it. We did not only the album, but we did the live. I personally prefer the live.
I love it. That's awesome.
Everybody
I feel
liked
like that's
the
a whole different skill set too. Like being able to do it live. You really gotta. You guys didn't have presets then either, did you?
Oh no.
Oh no, there were no presets. You really engineered. Like you engineered your face off.
You know, you may not have heard of this, but way back then, we had a thing called analog.
Oh, yep. I know. I've done some analog stuff.
I'm kidding with you.
It's back in.
Yeah, analog is back in to some extent. Mm-hmm. And a funny thing is, do you know that a lot of the things we're doing these days, we take them in digital, put them into analog, adjust them, and send them back to digital.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I know.
Well, I did that. I produced an album, and I produced an album in the 80s with the drummer from Renegade, Louis Cardenas. And it was the Animal Instinct album. And I didn't, at that time, digital was around. We were using Mitsubishi X850s to record, and we had them SMPTE together, 2 of them. And what I would do is, I didn't like the sound of the drums on digital, but we needed it ultimately to be digital because we were one of the first CDs that came out. So I went into a studio called 1-on-1 in the Valley here that, in fact, the Black Album was recorded there later on. I heard this studio, I went to the studio one day, I listened to, and I was on Hal David's scoring stage. And I remember clapping and listening to the resonance of the room. And I looked up, and his son was there, and I said, boy, this is a great drum room. He said, oh no, this is a scoring room. And I said, well, it may be a scoring room to you, but to me, it sounds like a great drum room. So we rented the studio. I brought the band in, and I brought in a 24-track, Studer 24-track that I borrowed from Tom Schultz from Boston, because it had like the shortest audio path of any. Recorded that. We put a 16-track stack on there, recorded analog, and when we would rewind the tape to listen to it, the drummer would come into the booth while we were rewinding, and then within the first 5 minutes, we would transfer directly to digital, so that we had the tape compression for the drum sound, but we had the advantages of digital by transferring it before the magnetic field dissipated.
Oh my gosh, that's like way beyond what my brain can understand, but it sounds really cool.
Well,
like, this is like science now, and I'm like, my dad's a scientist, but I'm terrible at it.
Now, by example,
that's like really cool.
I recently produced, there's a young artist that I produced by the name of Kramer. And he's just an incredible artist who is basically I refer to him as an 80s artist who had the misfortune of being born in the 90s.
Oh God.
That would definitely be Rocky.
Oh, you know Rocky, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to him, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I produced his album. I produced the whole album. And
really?
and
the whole
so
thing?
yeah, from start to finish. And by the way, we recorded at the same studio at 1-on-1.
Where is that? Is it you guys? My chair just keeps turning. I don't understand what's happening. Like, I'm like over here trying to.
It's like a showcase.
You're
just turning around like you're like a showcase in a picture window.
Yeah, exactly, like a show pony.
There you go.
What's that turn? Like, are you on The Voice? Just kidding.
No, but she's
I was
talking.
just thinking about the revolving chair. Yeah.
Like, literally, I don't understand why this is happening, other than the fact that like this room must be haunted. There's no other logical explanation to what's happening.
Are you in the studio? Victoria, are you in the studio right now?
No, I'm making a studio in my house right now, though.
Oh, really?
Okay.
What type of studio?
Recording studio and for video footage, you know.
Excellent. Excellent.
It's not technically like a sound studio, but yeah. My husband's an actor, and you know, it's important to have a good space for self-tape. So we have like our guest rooms, we never use it because I don't know why we had this weird guilt of getting rid of the beds for the 30 times, maybe even not that, a year that someone comes to stay with us. This is actually like use our space. I don't know. So yeah, we went to town today. We're putting all the lights up. We're gonna do the thing. So excited, getting all my sound equipment in here. It's gonna be fun.
We ought to answer your question, by the way, 1-on-1 is located on Lancashire. They just had a fire there, unfortunately. And so I don't know when it's going to be back online, but we brought Rocky in there. I'll tell you a funny story. There's a rehearsal hall next to it that I know the owner there. He and I are very good friends. And so we were rehearsing Rocky's band. Rocky is a progressive artist, and the timing on the songs are just incredible. to the point that
Really?
these guys have to stop on a dime and give 9.5 cents change. And so they're just really incredible. And so when we were leaving rehearsal one day, I just mentioned, I said, there used to be a studio over there, and that studio is just incredible. And he said, oh, really? So what's the name of it? I said, well, it's called One on One. And he said he knew all about it. And he's from Norway, and he'd never been to Los Angeles before. So how did you know about a studio that hasn't been in existence for the last 15, 20 years? And about that time, he explained to me that he had seen it on a documentary for Metallica. So he said, oh, it was always his dream to record in that studio.
Aww.
Well, a week or two later, we're walking by it again, the door opens. And I find out that the studio is actually still there. It just had gone private. So I went in, talked to the owner. Turned out we had some mutual friends. We were able to record Rocky's album, the Firestorm album, at One on One. Well, it had become 17 Hertz at that point. And he was in the exact same room where Metallica recorded the Black Album. So we made his dream come true.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. It wasn't even an option, and you made it an option. It was like, that's not even the studio anymore, but you guys still got to record it there.
I'd say fate made it an option.
I think so.
It happened. It was meant to be.
Yeah, he manifested that studio hard.
Kim, is One on One Studios where Yellowstone, the part of Yellowstone, the series was shooting in Costner? Is that the same studio?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. I don't think so, though.
Huh, okay.
It became Hal David and his son Jim David built the studio originally. Okay. And you remember you know who Hal David was, right?
I know the name.
Everybody? Okay, remember Burt Bacharach?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, and all the Dionne Warwick hits and so on. Well, those were mostly written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. Hal David was probably one of the most successful composers of the 20th century. Well, his son is a fellow by the name of Jim David. They built One on One Studios to be a scoring stage for Hal. And when the rock world found out they had made an incredible rock studio, everybody started recording there, from Michael Jackson to Metallica. Marvin Gaye recorded there. I mean, everyone recorded there at one time or another. And so the main room where Metallica recorded, where I recorded the Animal Instinct album, it hasn't changed. It's the same acoustic, same everything. So when we got to record Rocky's album there, that was literally a dream come true for Rocky.
Oh, that's so cool. And are you doing production right now?
On Rocky, you mean, or in general?
No, just in general. Have you been working on anybody else's project?
Yes. I mean, we're working. I mean, Allied is working on lots of projects at once, but I'm from a music standpoint, I wasn't going to be honest with you. I wasn't going to produce any more albums. I was pretty much. I was happy.
That's what they all say.
I'm the CEO of the company. I've got a pretty big plate that's full most of the time. And a friend of mine, I worked with Alice Cooper back in the late 70s, early 80s. And his guitar player at the time was a fellow by the name of Mike Panera. And Mike Panera previously had been in Iron Butterfly, Blues Image. He wrote the song Ride Captain Ride, which is a pretty famous song. And anyhow, so I'd known Mike for many years. I get a call from Mike and he says, listen, I have this young artist by the name of Rocky Kramer. I said, okay, that's great. And I said, listen, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's go get a dinner together. And so he said, okay, but listen, I'm going to tell you all about this guy, Rocky Kramer. He's a really good guitarist. Now, coming from Mike Panera, that's really something. And he says this kid is a super guitarist. He's going to really rock the world. Again, he hadn't scratched the itch yet for me. So I said, well, okay, but let's get to dinner. You know, sometimes, okay, I want you to meet Rocky. I said, wonderful. I'd love to meet Rocky, but let's go to dinner. So I made an appointment. We met at a Houston's down in Torrance. And after we got done eating, he got in the car and he said, okay, now I want you to meet Rocky. And he set up, without consulting me, he set up a meeting. So I said, well, he's pretty insistent on this. So we drove to this Starbucks, and here comes Rocky. And I start talking to him. And keep in mind, I had absolutely no interest in doing anything. I wasn't going to produce anything else. So Rocky comes down, and he's just a complete gentleman, a wonderful fellow. And I started asking him questions. I said, okay, what are your influences? And he looked at me and he said, Pink Floyd and Queen. I said, oh, okay, he's been reading my bio.
He's been on your wiki page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I listened to his music, and when I listened to the music, I said, wow, he really is influenced by Pink Floyd and Queen. And I've realized from listening from one song to the next, I said, this is a concept album, which almost nobody has done a concept album in years. And I listened to it, and I started reading. He had, some of it was recorded, some of it he had just the music, but I was reading the lyrics along with it. And everything flowed and told a story. And I said,
wow.
And so something happened, and the light switch just turned on, and I said, okay. And so just to make sure I was sure that I really knew what I was talking about, I sent the demos to Stefan Bauer, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago.
Aww.
But he was, Stefan Bauer's from Rolling Stones, Jeff Beck. He was from that fame. And Stefan listened to it, and he says, let's sign him right now. And I said, okay, you answered my question. So he signed him, and I began producing the album. But I spent about 2 years finding his band and preparing them to record.
Wow. He's an incredible guy. We were talking not about maybe 4 weeks ago, we were talking. I liked him because he was just an honorable guy, and he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Just coming into the U.S. And I said, where was the first place she went? And he goes, he did talk about 101 Studios, because he was talking about the Pink Floyd album. It was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he loved it. That was a moment for him. It was quite a moment. After I told him we had cut the deal for him to record the album at 101, he looked at me with the most sincere eyes, and he said, my dream is going to come true. I said, yes, it is.
Oh my God, what a moment. Oh, that just sent chills down my spine. I love that. That's so awesome. And you did it personally, which makes it way cooler.
Well, if you haven't heard the album, I recommend you go out and listen to it. And please take it and listen to it from start to finish. That's important.
Right? Concept album, have to listen from start to finish.
And the first time I played it for some of our distribution people. We were in a studio, and I had them listen. We began listening to it from start to finish. At the very end, one of them turns to me and he says, so does he make it through? And the other one turns and says, yeah, didn't you hear on the second to the last out such and such happened? And they looked at me, and I said, I'm not telling you the answer. You have to decide for yourself how you perceive that album. Just like the wall. It's going to affect each person differently. And then you get together and discuss how it affects you compared to how it affects everyone else. And that's why The Wall, which I worked on with Pink Floyd, there are college classes to this day where they do nothing but discuss the intent behind each song and the message of The Wall.
So cool. Wow. I love that about music, though, is you can hear it one time and just get one whole message meaning from it, and then listen to it later on in a different mood with a different life experience and get a totally different thing out of it. It's like a living, breathing organism.
Yep.
That's the beauty of music.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the absolute beauty of music. So you're a musician?
Yes, I'm a singer. I'm a recording artist.
All right. And
Yeah.
you're Sherry, are you a musician?
No, I'm a fitness competitor, fitness personality. And
That fits, I can tell from looking at you.
yeah. And businesswoman, so, and co-host Brian.
All right. Well, good deal.
I wish that I could sing, and I really wish that I was musically inclined. That's just not a gift that I was given. So I think it's a God-given gift, you know, with that talent. So I'm always jealous in a good way, and admire that.
There you go. And Brian, are you a musician or an actor or any of the above?
No acting. No, I'm that movie person that likes to see the movies, loves to listen to the old classics of music. I mean, I was just listening to America not too long ago. For whatever reason, you know, the 70s music was just great. And even
the band America?
Yeah.
Jerry Beckley is a friend of mine.
I was just listening to A Horse with No Name.
That's right. And ironically, last night, Rocky had a live show on Twitch, and he started the show with Horse with No Name.
Ah, wow. Hey,
Kim,
what do you hope to see? What's going on with musical, musicians? What's your advice to them? The ones that have been writing songs, the ones that kind of still locked down. You know, like now we got some storms going down in the Southeast, and in the Mid-South. People need to be encouraged. They need to listen to a lot of good music, because it's hard to watch movies unless you're watching Netflix or Amazon or something like that. What would you say to encourage people?
A recommendation to musicians?
Both, yes.
Okay. Well, in terms of musicians, one of the things I think is extremely important is, and the best example is, yesterday was the 50th year anniversary of Elton John playing the Troubadour in Hollywood. That was basically his breakout performance. That's where Robert Hilburn, the very famous reviewer, saw him and wrote that incredible article about him. And if anybody wants to read that, there's a whole piece on Elton's website. I think it's elton.com. But anyway, and they did a little tribute to his 50-year anniversary. And the whole Elton people are very close to me, because my publicist until he passed away was Norman Winter. And Norman Winter was Elton John, Neil Diamond, just everybody basically.
That's a lot of big people.
Oh yeah, AC/DC, name it. Well, he represented all of my acts for many years. And I actually introduced him to Rocky before he passed. And he grew to like Rocky, and he thought Rocky was going to be huge.
That's awesome.
Anyway, one of the things that made Elton is that he did not sound like anyone else. He wasn't some homogenized sound. He mixed together things that he liked. He was a little bit of Jerry Lee Lewis. He was a little bit, his vocal had little Leon Russell was what he really liked. He was himself, and he became a superstar as a result. And so I recommend to artists, don't try to emulate anyone in particular. Don't try to take on the latest sound. If you're first of all, if you're listening to something on the radio today, and it's a hit today, by the time you record something and get it on, it won't be the curve will be past you. So
you're trying to hit where lightning just struck, right?
That's right. And so what I recommend is be yourself. Write about the things that affect you, that affect life in front of you, and perform it the way you want to perform it. Be the person that you are. And the authenticity comes through, whether it's on camera, whether it's on, well, I would say tape, but it's now digital. Authenticity does translate best.
Always. I think so too. 100%. Nobody can give to the world what you can give through your own life experience with the voice that you have from the skills that you've honed in your life, whatever,
That's right.
Life
That's what
experiences.
only you can give that. Yeah.
That's right. And that's one of the things that I really liked about Rocky, is that all of the songs on all of his albums, they portray some part of his life. He's writing about things that somehow relates to him or something he experienced.